Hey everybody, this is Mike with Free Roaming Photography, and we are doing another episode of Birding and Nerding. And I am out in Grand Teton National Park on a cloudy and soon to be rainy fall day. So fall migration is in full effect, but Jackson Hole is not really a big fall migration target. A lot of birds fly over or flying in another part of the country, so we don't usually get a lot of fall visitors. But that being said, I did see some reports of a snow goose in another part of the park that we're going to go try and look for. And right now I am just driving around part of the northern part of the park to see what is out, see which smaller birds are still here, and see which year-round birds are still hanging around and out here. Right now I'm in an area called Elk Ranch, and I would expect to find some predators, birds of prey out here, such as red-tailed hawks, and mostly things like that. That's commonly what I see out here, so we will move around and see what we find out here. Alright, so it looks like I am coming up on a herd of bison, and typically where there's bison there are smaller birds picking off the bugs off their back and things like that. I've seen brown-headed cowbirds, European starlings with them, so I'm going to check this out and see what we can find with them, and while we're here, also enjoy the bison. So there's a big flock of European starlings with these bison, and I managed to get a couple of shots of some on their back. Right now they're all on the ground picking off some of the insects there, and eventually they're going to fly back up onto the back of some of these bison and see what I can get then. Now, of course, the fascinating thing about bison is that everybody knows they were being killed off in the 1800s. What most people don't know is that when they finally did stop killing, when they finally got the laws to enforce people to stop poaching them, there were only 23 wild bison left in the entire country. And the only reason they managed to survive without inbreeding and things like that is because a couple of ranches in Texas and Montana, they were keeping the bison essentially as souvenirs. They saw what was happening and they saw that the bison were not going to survive, so they were keeping their own little herd. And they found out there were only 23 left in Yellowstone. They shipped their herds to breed with the wild ones that were left, and that's where all our genetically pure bison have come from. So when you go to Black Hills, South Dakota, when you go down, see them in the Grand Canyon in Arizona on the North Rim, any other place you see them, Native American tribes, the reservations, that's where all of our bison have come from those last 23 remaining bison. So when you hear that they were on the brink of extinction, literally, they were on the brink of extinction. As I was there, it looked like a lot of the starlings began to move off. The herd is pretty fragmented around this big area, so they could have been going other places, just other areas in the grasses. So most of the starlings went away. I stuck around, got a few more shots of the bison against the fall colors and things like that. But as a whole, it looked like it was time to move on and see what else we could see out here. Okay, so we are coming up on the Oxbow Bend area of Grand Teton National Park, and it's a really good spot for a lot of waterfowl, and this is where a snow goose was reported, which we don't usually get, so I'm curious to see if that's out. And it was reported in 2 different areas, so I'll check both spots. But either way, I'm going to see what kind of waterfowl we can find down here. So right off the bat, I do see a few things out there, sitting on an island, swimming around. Looks like a white pelican, a few cormorants, things like that. So I'm gonna head down and see what we can focus in on. So right off the bat, I did have a couple of gulls flying around. It looked like they were ring-billed gulls, and got a couple of them in flight. One went way over on the other side, and it looks like there's one or two others. That is an American white pelican hanging out with some double-crested cormorants, and they are just resting on a little island. And not seeing much else right now, some Canada geese, but I'll stick around for a few more minutes and see what else comes flying around, because you hang out here long enough, anything will come out. So we'll see. What you're not seeing right now is Mount Moran behind that dark cloud shooting up into the sky. Tetons make a pretty magical reflection here, and that's what draws most people, but without the Tetons, it's pretty quiet. So a little bit of action started picking up on the far side. There was a bald eagle that flew by off in the trees, didn't get anything great from it. But then it looked like a flock of young mallards started flying through, and a couple of the other gulls started moving around. So a little bit going on. Give it a few more minutes and see if anything happens between now and then. Alright, just got some pretty great shots of a ring-billed gull flying out of the water. So that was pretty good, worth waiting for. And the sun getting a little brighter, I think we're going to move on to somewhere else. So that was kind of nice. As I was getting up and leaving, it looked like a trio of what I believe were juvenile American widgeons came flying in. So I got a couple of nice shots of them. And now moving on to another nearby spot to see what else we can find. Meeting another nice photographer, David Dowry, I think his name was, so shout out to him. Great birder from Florida, visiting up here for the first time. And we walked around chatting and found a bald eagle, which was really nice. A couple of beavers were swimming around later in the morning, which is unusual for them, so that was a nice surprise. And then there's a couple other birds that I don't think I remember getting too much else. So it was just too fast for me. But yeah, I'm gonna move on now to the Jackson Lake Dam area. And still looking for that snow goose. That might have flown by now. The reports were a couple of days old, so gonna check out, see if it's there, and if not, we'll just see what else we can find. Alright, so I am here at the Jackson Lake Dam area, and it's a great spot for birds, especially in the spring as the migration's happening. There's some beaver ponds here, which they really like. The river comes out, there's the lake, and it's just an all-around great spot. Also hoping to find that snow goose. This was the other spot it was recorded, so it bounced back and forth between here and there and Oxbow Bend. So hopefully it's still here, but the report was a couple of days old, so it's probably flown by now. But I'm going to keep an eye out and see what we can find out here. So it's pretty quiet here right now. There is one female mallard that is hiding behind some sticks and stuff like that, so it's hard to get a good shot. So far, besides a few magpies flying off in the distance, not seeing a whole lot else right here. So, not having much luck right here right now. I do see a couple of things in the river down the way a little bit, so I'll check them out. And may have to concede to the snow goose. Not a bird, but at least cooperative. So there's one more place that snow goose might be hanging out if it's still around, and that is right on the other side of the dam. So I'm going to make a quick drive over there. So not much happening at the dam or Jackson Lake. So I'm heading south right now, and I'll pop around String Lake, maybe Jenny Lake, and pick another few spots to see what kind of birds are out. It is starting to rain right now, so we'll see how that impacts our sightings, and nothing else. It might make for some nice opportunities. Okay, so I am here at String Lake in some pretty beautiful conditions, and right when I walked up, there was an American dipper just sitting on the other side. Got some great shots of him, and don't hear much else besides a couple of magpies and ravens, so I'm gonna walk around a little bit and see what else is here. Just had a really great opportunity with some red crossbills, which are out here along the shore of the lake, and I missed a great shot of them drinking out of the lake right in front of me, but it was just too harshly backlit, and the sun's out. It was shining too brightly right behind them, so it wouldn't have been a good shot, but got some nice stuff of them up in the trees, so that was really good. So I'll keep moving and see what else is out here. So I was starting to head back, and I just saw one more ruffed grouse. And it sounds like those crossbills have moved on. And poke around here for a few more minutes, see what else we can find. So I finished up at String Lake, saw a few more dark-eyed juncos on the way out, and that was about it. And I was expecting a little bit more rain and clouds. It's been, well, up until just now, it's been pretty sunshiny for the last hour or so, maybe even more. And I was kind of counting on a lot of those clouds to give me more indirect light, which I tend to prefer when I'm doing wildlife photography and bird photography, especially outside of sunrise and sunset, because that indirect light gives a much nicer, just even cast of lighting over the whole animal versus harsh shadows. So it looks like String Lake was the big grand finale for today. So almost home now, so we're probably not going to see a whole lot else. But yeah, if you have any questions or comments, definitely leave them down in the comments below. Please like and subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and just a reminder, I do offer workshops, private photography workshops. If you want to come out and look around Grand Teton National Park and do some birding, I also offer an annual birding migration in the spring around the area. We spend 2 days looking for birds, and essentially it's almost kind of like 2 big days. So check that out on my website if you're interested, or freeroamingphotography.com. And thank you for watching, and happy trails.